I've kind of got hooked up into this solar bit. And then COVID hit. And so I got volunteering and ended up with the blast team, and through that into the power team. And then that turned into finding a need. I did a paper on artists and using solar on the Playa. So that turned into finding a need for artists, to support artists to go to renewable energy. And thus RAT was started. Now, I'm very much a part of Blast and help out where I can, but I am, my sole goal is to help artists. But part of that process is education, like I said before. So we want to get the word out there for everyone to start thinking about renewable energy. And yeah, did I miss something there, Brace?
No, unless, I mean, I could ask you questions all day long, and because I think I know the answers to some of them, but does anybody have, I guess at this point, now that we've got everybody here, we're really here to answer your questions and concerns and facilitate an honest, open, and respectful dialogue. I might, unless there's a huge objection, want to kick it off with people who are kind of doubting, and even Bruce, you've doubted my calculations as far as a solar system for a theme camp. If I can share my screen, this is basically what we're thinking of right now. And I know I said $6,000. These panels are at the pallet price. So instead of just the 14 panels, there are 7 panels in series and then 2 strings of 7 panels parallelized. That's buying a pallet's worth of panels. Now, I agree. The conceit in a lot of this is bargain basement pricing, and you are probably going to want to gather together with other people to buy in on some of these to get prices that are low to come in under this. The Jacobber batteries are very popular. The 48 volts ones that we're talking about there are very popular and are tested. The 3rd generation's coming out, and they're at a very, very reasonable price. And then linking everything together is the GrowWatt all-in-one charge controller and inverter. That's what we have right now. That's really kind of the game changer in solar right now. And they are pretty powerful units that you could replace the power in your house with 2 of these. Most, you have the split phase coming into most houses, 1 on each arm. This could replace that. And these can be shotgun together if you need something like 220 or 3-phase power, stuff like that. That's why I think those units are a really big game changer in there. And with that, wow, okay, tons and tons of questions. Sparkle Bitch, I saw your hand up first. What did you have for us?
I have 2 questions. One I put in the original chat and didn't hear anyone reference it. I got shifted to Frog's feed somehow, but I have a lot of people who I know who come in on low income tickets, and they park out on K and L and out in the outer reaches because they're camping in a tent or whatever. They can barely get to Burning Man. How are they going to manage solar panels for their camps? I guess, I mean, for me, for my camp, if we decided this was, a goal, I think we could probably do it. I volunteer for ESD. We work to contain things already. We have some solar panels to power the whole camp. Maybe would work, maybe wouldn't. We've played around with a lot of different things. We share power with the camp next to us, which is disorganized Camp 9. And there's a whole lot that goes on with that. But we're trying to do this whole EDI thing. And we want to include everybody. We want everybody to be able to come. What if they can't afford solar? Because $6,000 is not a small amount for a lot of people.
I'd like to take this, if I may. Look at the key to solar. This is to success is math. Okay, you got to know what you're going to power. If you got a small camp and a few lights and whatever, then once again, knowing what your limits are, you have to have some measurement of what that is, numbers of some sort. You don't have to shoot for the moon for this. So a small camp or a tent or whatnot can do a simple little project and test it out and see how it works for them. You don't have to replace that generator. You don't have to go to 6,000. You can let's say you got a medium camp. You could say we're going to power all our lights off of solar and start off small. You need a few batteries, a few panels. See, the problem with solar is it comes down to money and real estate. Money, you can spend, hey, you could have acres of solar panels and feed the grid. We can run refrigerators and houses off of it. But the problem is we don't all have the money or the real estate. How much real estate do you have in your camp? Yes, solar panels as shade is great, except for realize that you've got lots of pounds up above your head and you have to build a structure that is going to support that. So, and it's all doable, but money, once again, right? So starting off small, having a small area where you can set up some panels, build a rack or whatever, and work using math, work with it and try and see how it all fits into your camp. But you got to do some math. That to
yes.
me, that's the goal to get.
I totally believe
thinking that way.
I believe in math. I believe in starting small. I believe in solar. We have a solar powered trailer. It's not that I'm not a believer. It's that I think for a lot of people, I don't know. I kind of think part of the solution needs to be us all deciding to have less power. Does the Playa actually need to be seen from Mars? Do we need to have our cell phones on 24/7 in a place where we can charge them? This is the shit that burns energy. And if we could get back to where we were living in the moment and not taking selfies all the time, maybe that would happen. I think we're looking at it from the wrong end. It isn't, can we power the solar on Playa if we just get enough donors to give us solar panels? It's, is this what the Playa should be?
I mean, and I also want to make an important point that I think Rat Lady has been making in some of the questions, in that we have, and I will be the first person to say, we don't need all this air conditioning.
Oh no, we do.
But what I don't have time to say in a lot of that is that there's a difference between people who just want to feel comfortable and people for whom it is medically necessary. People for whom could not go to the Playa without that. And we also need to think about power for things like CPAP machines, power for mobility equipment, power for all of these other different things that really needs to be not just prioritized, but made essential. I think there's a lot of there. And just to answer another question from earlier, there still is going to be a power grid. Leeway and his team are going to come out and build it. It's going to be partially, they're going to be a little bit more sustainable. They have these units that charge batteries. The generators aren't spinning all of the time. But, when I or sustainability people say less power, we mean less wasted power, and power for mobility equipment is not a waste. It's essential. It's
I
part
was
of
never
radical
suggesting.
participation. No, I'm not. I wasn't saying that. I was saying, I was talking about
I work
me
in
when I
ESC.
say that
If
stuff.
we didn't
Yeah,
have our cooler trailers,
Right.
people would die.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am a huge fan of air conditioning. That is not at all what I'm suggesting, but I'm saying there's a lot of power that gets used out there that maybe doesn't need to happen. And I've seen some genius art installments that were powered by solar. I've seen some amazing stuff that maybe didn't have to be lit up day and night. Sometimes we want too much. That's all I'm trying to say.
And yes, and I think the proviso to that is really looking at what is essential and what is not. And I think we should probably move on the stack so we don't have. I think was Kawe the next person on the stack. Monday, you would let me know.
Yeah, that's me. Can
Okay.
you hear me? Thank you. So I've had several discussions with friends over the years about solar. I use some solar panels, small stuff, nothing too big. Whenever power consumption and stuff like that always comes up, it's always the same, isn't it? It's, stop using fossil fuel, diesel, and then, go solar. Well, does anybody talk about like what happens to those batteries once they go out, and what does it take to produce the batteries? I mean, if the ultimate question and the goal is to reduce and, you know, not use or reuse, well, like a lot of money and labor and like hardcore components go into making a solar battery, right? You know, and the chargers and all the packaging and, you know, and delivery of all of that as well. I mean, is it really any different, or is it? I mean, rephrase that. It is different, but is it any more different than what we already have access to that we know works for sure?
Yes.
Is it really offsetting things by that much? Because what happens to those batteries? And I'll give you one example real quick. My friend Darko, 20 years ago, he went fully off the grid with his house. He bought 130 pound heavy lead acid batteries. Now he moved over to lithium ion. It works better. Man, like what happens to those batteries? That's 48 of them. That's just one house. And now they don't work anymore. So, I mean, you know, with all that's kind of where I'm coming at with this question. Like, is it really that much better to go, you know, solar? That's it.
Yes. Bruce will handle the technical side of this, but yes, 100%, because a lot of those Honda generators that people take out there, the carbon contribution embedded in manufacturing a lot of those things can't be discounted. When you talk about just lead acid batteries, you can drop them off at any place that sells batteries, get with a receipt, get the core feedback. They're inherently far more recyclable than those dirty gas generators that honestly people buy for the Playa, take out there once, and then they just chuck and they throw away and they buy a new one year after year, because honestly, people don't maintain them. And a lot of them are not really designed to be maintained. They're designed to be bought for one event. People use it for the one event and then they forget about it. They throw it in a storage container. They try to bring it back next year without doing a full fuel system purge, cleaning the filters, anything like that. And they're like, oh, it doesn't work. They go buy a new one. And they do that every single year for Playa. Solar panels, we're using 25-year-old solar panels out at Fly Ranch right now. As long as you don't physically attempt to destroy them, they will last and still be productive for lots of different uses. And to Ratley and everybody else's point, we're not telling people who can't afford to buy solar systems to go solar. What we're doing is we're trying to encourage people who can afford them to buy them, because when they upgrade, those other systems are perfectly good and will last for 10 or 15 years and don't have the same kind of mechanical parts or workmanship.
But what about the batteries?
Gunk up.
Batteries.
The batteries are, and that's the thing. Batteries, even the lead acid, the AGM, they're far more recyclable. And the new lithium batteries that have much better BMS protection. And this is where I'm going to kick it over to Bruce for that part of it. If you wanted to address that, Bruce.
Yeah. When I have a dead battery, I take it in and I get another battery. If I don't have a battery, they charge you a core charge. My point being, they have value. That's because they recycle the lead. They take the acid, the lead acid, or the distilled water and acid, and they do their magic with that. They recycle this stuff. When you get to lithium, yeah, you can say, well, the environmental impact of lithium. But guess what? I buy a lithium battery. It's good for 10 years. Plus, they don't really know how far they're going to go. They do lab testing. They're good for like 2,000, 3,000 cycles as opposed to a lead acid battery. You talk about solar panels. Solar panels do have an environmental impact. Yes, it does. Some of the solvents they use are greenhouse gases. But the other side of it is like Brace said, is once you have them and once you've installed them, that's good for 20. Well, they're warranted for 20, 25 years. How many items do you have out there in your life that last 20, 25 years? Now, the panels do degrade about 0.5% a year. And so what you're seeing is now as time goes by, people are changing their systems to new energy efficient solar panels. So there is a push toward certified recyclers where they actually reclaim the silicon, the glass, the aluminum frame, but at a cost, though. It does cost to recycle. So there is something in the works for this. It's not just, filling our dumps full of this stuff.
I really want to hear from Ratley, and I believe, Rat, you're next on the stack. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm approaching it from, kind of a little different mindset because I have a camp full of a lot of old, not all old, but a lot of old disabled people who live on fixed incomes, who have to drive their own vehicle because that may be their major ability to move around in Black Rock City as a disabled vehicle. And, we have to have power. And yeah, solar's great, but if you don't have a huge battery array, all the people that need to run their CPAPs at night, all the people that need to charge their mobility equipment at night, that becomes a real problem because the sun doesn't shine at night. Besides the fact that it's just completely out of our wheelhouse. I mean, we're in a dead panic right now. We just got word our storage in Reno is closing. We were paying $90 a month for a 15 by 30 space.
Jeez.
June 30th, that goes away. What are we going to do? Where are we going to put this stuff? We can't afford to go out and spend $6,000 for a container and pay Burning Man to store it for us. So, we're not looking at how can we do better, which obviously we are always trying to do. We're looking at how do we survive?
I don't have any, I hate to see this, I don't have any easy answers for you. I'm just going to be straight up. I don't. And that the only thing that I can say is that I try to keep that in mind. You're absolutely right. I am not going to say that if having a vehicle and if driving your vehicle from your house as a sole occupant is the only way that you can experience Black Rock City, I 100% applaud, support you. Keep doing that. And I think I would hope that every burner, no matter how sustainably oriented, would be behind you on that. But I think a lot of other people are not in that position. That's who we're really targeting. And I think in any sustainability, that's the other part about sustainability efforts is that the larger point has been made in the chat is we have to get there in a responsible way, not a rush to the exits kind of way. And I absolutely 100% agree with all of that.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. I think, Philip, you're next.
Yes. Hi there. So I was planning to do a big solar push from my camp in 2020. I put together an entire bill of materials. I talked to a bunch of other camps, respected our power usage. And I was like, all right, we're spending, depending on how much we think we can have, 2,000 to 7,000. We're making this happen. As a side note, I definitely agree with lowering the power consumption as step one. When I looked through the old numbers, unfortunately, my camp takes a lot of data. We have our power usage in kilowatt hours for the last 5 years. But we just saw that it had gone up by 40%. We started increasing RVs and everything. And I was like, we need to just, first of all, get back to our levels in 2016. We need to say less RVs, more tents. This is wild. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit solar, a little bit of just how can we lower our power consumption? That's a huge part of it. But as for my question, I'm really curious about the nitty gritty details of someone who's put together their bill of materials and is now picking this up 2 years later because then the world ended. And I'm going back to my old bill of materials, my old presentation, and trying to update it and see what's new. And hearing about the grow watt combined charge controller and inverter is really fascinating. That's exactly what I was looking for. So I'm kind of curious if you have a bill of materials you can link to just go through exactly what you're using. I saw that one you shared briefly, but I would love to take a closer look and whether there might be some sort of follow-up meeting or something for people that are kind of waist deep in the technical and really trying to spec out the bill of materials and get the parts and kind of answer these questions how exactly do I use this charge controller for both AC and DC power and just kind of really kind of getting all the way to 100%. I'm close. I've done a lot of research as an engineer. I kind of know the ideas, but trying to get all the way to all right, I'm going to order this stuff and do it. That last 10% is still a little intimidating.
Bruce, I'm going to let you talk about the meetings.
Yeah, well, there's two meetings that more than welcome to join. One is the Power Group, which Nick heads up, and that meets every Wednesday at noon. And the RAP meeting, even though we are 4 artists, we also have a lot of content that we're working on. We do a weekly skill sharpening section, and we are pushing to get more stuff on Hive. So you can bring your questions there, and we should be able to help you out. Brace does have his list. We have some lists on complete systems too, although it sounds like you want to build your own. And that's very approachable. Some of the new stuff out there, aside from that, is lithium. Lithium is huge now. I used to not promote that because of the cost. Prices are dropping drastically. So looks like we're going to run out of time. Nick, Brace, is there anything you want to finish with?
This is a great conversation. Please, we meet on Wednesdays. Check us out, the Renewable Energy Community and the Burning Man Hive. Please come and bring these questions, the tough questions. Come at us with a lot of these things. Keep us honest. There's so much here. My email, I put it in the chat. Please reach out to us. Please, let's keep this conversation going. Sparkle Bitch, Rat Lady, Philip, everybody else. If your question wasn't answered, email us and we'll push it out there.
Thank you.
Bruce, do you have the link ready?
Yeah. Hold on.
I thought we had another 20 minutes.
I thought so too, but
all right, because I saw the thing come up, but I thought we had